Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Hare Krishna, very welcome back to our channel Bhagavad-gita. Here it is, where we are reading Bhagavad-gita as it is. Commentary and translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and my name is Labanga Latika. We are in the third chapter of Bhagavad-gita, and if you've been following us, then you're up to speed. But this chapter, it's a little bit like a manual. But in order to follow a manual, of course, it has to be a good manual. But you have to be convinced that it's your manual. If you get a camera and then you get a manual for your vacuum cleaner, you're not going to be very helpful. Or you get a camera and you get a manual for your camera, but you don't really know what you want, why you would want to use it. So then somebody might explain to you, with a camera you can take pictures, and then afterwards you can look at the pictures. So all right, then I want to read the manual. So Bhagavad Gita, second chapter especially, we get to know why we want to read the Bhagavad Gita. It explains things that we might not have been thinking about previously, that I'm getting on with my life, I'm taking care of this and that, I have some interests, and maybe I'm a little bit in a hurry to manage everything that needs to be done. The point that is made in the second chapter is, I'm not this body, I'm the spirit soul in the body. Okay, Arjuna says. I get that. And then Krishna is explaining, as a spirit soul, the goal is really to realize the fact that we are a spirit soul and to act in that capacity. And then we need to understand, what is that capacity? So we are the tiny little spirit soul, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the omnipresent, omnipotent, all-knowing Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we want to connect with Him. And then Arjuna is asking some questions, how to do that? And then we get to the third chapter, or, well, here and there, it's all over the Bhagavad Gita, but right now, some verses about how do we do that? What are the obstacles? So if we just jump into these verses and we hear about the propensity of lust, it sounds a little bit medieval even. But in the context, I am spirit soul, and here I get the understanding that I want to realize myself as spirit soul. And then we get some understanding on what are the obstacles and how to deal with them. Then all of a sudden it makes sense, even to a modern person in the modern world. So I want to read text 40. Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishthanam uchyate etair vimohayatyesha jnanam avritya dehinam. Translation. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So this is not being judgmental, this is being very practical. We want to uncover the consciousness of the spirit soul. So what stands in the way? And here, not only what stands in the way, but where does it stand in the way? So that's useful information. Purport. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places, so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all the activities of the senses, and thus, when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all the ideas of sense gratification, and as a result, the mind and the senses become the repositories of lust. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter, and thus with the mind and senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 84, text 13. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatu ke svadhi kala tradisho bhauma ijyadi. Yatirtha buddhi salile nakar hichit dhyaneshvabhigyeshu saevago kara. A human being who identifies this body made of the three elements with his self, who considers the byproducts of the body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and who goes to the place of pilgrimage simply to take a bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is to be considered like an ass or a cow. So there are a lot of ideas here, and first of all I want to say we are the Hare Krishna, we love our cows. There's nothing wrong with the cows, but they are not particularly an example of spiritual studies and practice and intelligence as such. They are fine, we love our cows, they are very peaceful. And if you want to practice meditation, it's good to go and hang out with the cows sometimes, because that peacefulness might rub off on us. But for these stages of spiritual life where we are not at a realized pace, where we are not able to just peacefully absorb ourselves in meditation on Lord Krishna, we need a little more of an active, practical intelligence than a cow. So these strategic positions, they are very helpful to know about. The spirit soul, that's us, we're in the body. And because the soul has consciousness, this consciousness goes through the body. We can sense with our senses. That's what they're for. We see with our eyes, we hear with our ears, with our skin we can feel that sensation of touch. Smell is there, so many things. And these sense objects, they will draw our attention. And the mind is like the central point, the operator. Well, not the operator, we are the operator, we are the persons. But the senses gathers the input from the mind gathers the input from the senses and presents it to us. Here is something very attractive and very important. This is just what we want. And then the intelligence gets to work. The intelligence, this is interesting, we can see that also nowadays in the modern life of politics and social society, where we have many discussions. There are many problems in the world and many choices, and we may think, well, I'm a rational, logical being and my decisions are based on logic, and very often they are not based on logic at all. They are mostly actually based on, we hear about the false ego here, with our false identification. We think, I'm part of this community, I'm a rich person, therefore I don't want to pay taxes, I don't want to feel responsible to be part of society and to share with everybody. There is, we read a daily chapter or a daily verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam where we discuss and lecture on that, and we've been reading the 11th canto and previous to that the 10th canto, and at one point it is said, I don't remember exactly where, that this person saw everybody, all the living entities, as his own people. Svajanam, I think. And then in the purport it's explained that an ordinary person sees as his kinsmen, as his own people, maybe his family, maybe his country, maybe his community, but a person with some realization sees all living entities. We're here, we're in it together, we're family, like that. So if you're a rich person, you're happy to share of your wealth in order to uplift society. Preferably under the directions of somebody who knows the full spiritual understanding. But even in a regular society, we want to share, we want everybody to have a place, to have a position, not just that those who are the richest or those who are most able to convince the others to give them money. You know, there should be room for the rest of us also. But in general we find that's actually rational. They have done studies on this. In a country where there are less, the gap between the rich and the poor is smaller, where everybody has the opportunity to feel quite safe and able to support themselves and their family and have some hope for life, then everybody benefits. Everybody's health is better, everybody's level of happiness is better. So that's rational. But we don't think rational. We think with our false ego, I am this body, and my senses, they are telling me this, and therefore I'm attracted to all of that. And then the intelligence works for the senses. Just like if you make an advertisement campaign, you bring in some very intelligent people to create your advertisement. And they use that intelligence to create an emotional impact that will make people buy your product. They don't use their intelligence to present an objective reality so that everybody can make the best choice. That's not how they apply their intelligence, and that's not how we apply our intelligence. We apply our intelligence according to our desires. And lust, that's what we call desire when it's covered by our material false ego. Then that spirit soul, we are persons. We will always have desire. The goal is not to kill desires and become something very artificially peaceful and uninvolved in the world, in life. No, the soul is naturally drawn in its desires to please Krishna, to serve Krishna, to engage in different ways in our spiritual identity, in our spiritual capacity. But when that desire is filtered through our false ego, through our identification with the body, then we know it as lust. So Krishna consciousness doesn't mean we kill lust. It means we purify all the covering, so the soul's natural loving propensities as an individual toward God. And in the same way, when we love God, we also have that sense of love to everything, because everything is a part of God. So that's where we want to go. But then it's good to understand what the obstacles are, and this is a big obstacle. This identification with the body, this drive for sense gratification that clouds our intelligence and that hampers our determination, and that diverts our desires towards something that is not even in our self-interest. But before we get to the point of self-realization, we need to study these kind of things so we know how to deal with reality, the reality that we are in. Yes, so it's a little challenging to speak about subjects like lust. But actually, it is a very tangible part of our lives, and it is possible to get around it because Krishna consciousness is a science. We can practice this science to realize our spiritual nature, and then that natural drive or desire is, I want to say, it's channeled in the right direction. That's not exactly true, because a channel is something man-made. It's a little bit artificial. A river, on the other hand, a river flows naturally to the sea. That's one of the beautiful prayers in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto. Queen Kunti, and she's the mother of the Pandavas. She's the mother of Arjuna, actually. I'm getting ahead of myself because this happens after the Battle of Kurukshetra. But she's praying to Krishna like that. For please let my mind, my love, my desires naturally flow to you without any obstacles, just like the river Ganges flows towards the sea. So that is the natural position of the spirit soul. But right now, we're a little bit distracted by this identification with our material body. So we need a little bit of this practical, down-to-earth manuals on dealing with life in the material world. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,